Hi YouTube. In this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another way of laying down the foundation for a portrait, such as the skin. And up to this point this was all done with pencil and the hair has been done with charcoal. But what I'm going to do for the other half, and believe it or not, I will be able to do it even though I did it with pencil here. I'm going to do the rest of the skin here, at least with the foundation, initial foundation, and I'm going to use a different method, and that is graphite powder. And so that's what we will discuss in this video. Okay, let's get right to it. Now what I'm going to use for this tutorial is I'm going to go ahead and use my Cretacolor graphite powder. Now I have two different kinds that I use. I have this one from Cretacolor, and I also use one from Generals. But in this case today, I'm just going to go ahead and use the Cretacolor. No particular reason. The Cretacolor for me is a little darker than the Generals, but not so much that it's going to cause me any problems, because I'm already going somewhat dark to begin with, going for the more photorealistic approach. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a earbud, or a Q-tip as many call it, and I'm just going to go ahead and start dipping it into my powder and then kind of shake off the excess. I'm just kind of going like this and then just tapping it loose. And I don't want to keep doing it over my drawing here, so I'm going to go ahead and go back over here. But that's what I'm doing off to the side, just getting a little. Now my drawing right now is laying on a flat surface. Normally in my previous videos, as you've been watching, hopefully you've been watching up to this point, as I've been drawing all this other stuff, it's more on a slant because I have a drawing easel that I use so I could actually see it, straight across. But now it's laying on a table, which means I'm kind of looking at this at an angle, but I'll just kind of lean over, hopefully not to block the camera lens. And the reason for this is because when you're using the powder, now I know some artists use the powder even though they have it on an incline like this. But what I have found though is that you have powder start falling down your drawing and you try to blow it off, and sometimes it leaves streaks, and I just don't want to hassle that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply it on a flat surface here. Now I'm just going to, with a circular motion and very lightly, no major pressure, I'm just going to start applying this graphite onto the paper. And I'm going to try my best to blend out any blotches, because it's easy to blotch where you have dark and light areas when you're using graphite powder. And so when you have a dark area like I have some here, I'm going to keep moving in a circular motion to try to distribute the excess graphite to the neighboring areas so that it's all a uniform skin tone. And you should be able to see that it does a really good job of providing a base for the skin. And then when I'm done with all the skin, I'm going to go ahead and do his whole face here. Although oftentimes you just do the area that you're going to draw and blend it and then put in your details, and then you continue moving on. It all depends on you as the artist. You decide what you want to do. In this case, I'm going to go full Monty on this puppy, and I'm going to put all the graphite on because all the main detail points here, the goatee, the outlining of his mouth and all that, I believe will show through the thin layer that I am putting on here. And if it wouldn't, if it was going to cover it, I wouldn't do this because I want to keep those sketch details so I know what I'm doing. So just continually in a nice, and you know, I do this the same way I do with pencils. So I move in this long oval format, just going like this round, it's not round in a circle, but it's long oval move is how I normally do. This is my preferred method. And another thing you should note that I'm still doing this, and yet I haven't just been going back and forth dipping into the graphite, because a little bit of graphite goes a long way. But once it gets to a point where it's getting a little thin and I don't have any more on the paper that I can move around, then I'll go and dip for a little bit more graphite and continue on. But so far I'm able to continually cover, and I'm kind of going over the part of it that I've done with pencil so that there's no seam where you see pencil ends here and powder here. I'm making it look like it's uniform. At least that is my objective. Now I don't use this method very often. I know some artists that do, and they do fantastic work. I mean, work that just blows my mind, and I can only hope one day to reach their limits, you know, to reach their levels. But for now, this method isn't really one that I personally use a lot, though it does come in handy from time to time. I happen to like using pencil, and a lot of times that's because it's just very soothing to me to do that. It's very relaxing, and I listen to music, and then I just, you know, I'm not in a hurry. So if I'm not in a hurry, the pencils work great. You have more control. You just don't cover as much area as quickly as doing this. This is kind of what I would call the accelerated method here is doing it this way. But hey, you know, it all works. Whatever tool you're comfortable with, go with it. But you can see I'm getting a nice even base here for the skin, and then I'm going to go over it for the details, darkening areas, lightening areas. But this gives me something to work with. This gets the undercoat, you might say, done. And you know, when you have areas that are darker, like the area over here is darker than here, I can actually keep adding powdered charcoal here and darken it that way. I don't have to use a pencil, although that's my preferred method. You don't actually have to do it that way. Getting a lot of sun coming in here now, so if you notice that things are getting bright and then dim brights because the clouds are coming over and shining through my office window here and reflecting on the camera tends to pick up the variations of light. I don't have you might say, a video studio, as it were. This is just my office, my humble office, and you know, I have to use the area here that's available for doing these videos. And while I'm doing this, by the way, I should probably say that today is a monumental day for the Rick's Can Do It channel, and I want to say thank you to all of you who have been who subscribed to this channel. Thank you very much, because we've just crossed the 5,000 subscriber mark. and I am just overjoyed that so many of you appreciate these videos that I'm making, and it's definitely a motivator for me to continue to make more and more videos, because um, you've been kind enough to subscribe and watch my videos and comment, and I think it's awesome. And so I'm going to keep giving back. You keep giving, I keep giving. I think it's great for all of us. So this is wonderful. Well, there we go. Cloud cover again. It's amazing. Anyway, so thanks again. This is the 5,000 subscriber video. That's what we'll call this officially, the 5,000 subscriber video, because we just crossed that mark today. Fantastic. Too bad Google don't give me buttons, don't give out buttons or anything for that, you know, those little plaques. But hey, you know, maybe someday I'll reach that subscriber mark where they actually give a little placard thingy. Looks pretty cool, a little YouTube award thing. You know, I find it interesting too is that when I first started this, it was all about a pencil, and can't believe how fast it's grown. It's wonderful. Okay, now there's going to be some blotches here, and when you have that, you know, don't be afraid to just kind of stop. Take your kneaded eraser like this. See, a little stretch-a-dooey thing. And, you know, just kind of gently even out the areas that might be a little bit blotchy. You can do it now, you can do it later. It's up to you. You have full control of when to do it. But that's all you have to do, is just come in here and just gently, don't put too much pressure, because this powder will come off real easy, like I just did right there. You probably can't see that, but you gotta see, I gotta blend that back in, and right there. So anyway, you can do that. I'm just going to continue here, and I'm going to worry about all that stuff later. Just want to get it as even as possible, and then I'm going to come in with my eraser and my pencil and start putting in all the details. Make sure I still remember where that hairline is that I did with the charcoal there, so I don't want to obscure it in any way. And something else you probably can tell is that those grid lines that we originally did in the first video to draw the initial sketch of Leo here, that those grid lines are getting blended into the actual drawing itself, so I haven't had to actually have to go in there and erase them. They're just disappearing, which is often the case unless you're drawing something very light, or one of those lines are going through you know, the white of the eye or something, and it's going to show up. Oftentimes you don't have to erase everything, you know, all these little grid lines that are, you know, maybe not show up so good on the camera there. Let's see if I can get up real close. You can see the grid line right there, but then you go over here and you'll notice that it's getting all filtered out. See, right there in the old skin. Okay, so that's another nice thing, is it's not having to go back and erase those. And just keep moving that ear bud. Everybody calls it something different. Earbuds, Q-tips, which Q-tip is actually a brand, not exactly what it is. Cotton, whatchamacallits, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not a commercial for those guys. just going to go ahead and keep putting that foundation in there. Now for you ladies out there, you know all about foundations, I'm sure. Got to have your foundation before you put the stuff on top. And that's the same thing here. I'm going to put this foundation down, and then I'm going to add my details, much more of the details. Look how much area we've covered already. I mean, I got the whole forehead already covered, and now I'm getting into below the eye line. I'm just going to spread some of this cheer around here a little more. I'll take out the high spots later. And also another thing too that you need to know is, hopefully you haven't been touching your drawing with your fingers. That's why you always have a paper that you put over when you're drawing, or something to protect the paper, because fingerprints will show up. You know, they use powder such as graphite powder that we're using. They use a similar powder, just something that makes fingerprints show, like when you're in a crime scene or something, and you've probably seen it on a TV show. Well, that's why you don't want to have fingerprints on your drawing, because it's going to show up on your drawing, and it's going to be very, very difficult to remove, if at all. I'm going to be careful around here. You don't want to, so much get into the eye and all that stuff. That's for another time. I'll work on that eye. Get it, bring it up to where the other one is. I still have to do this mouth area here, and then I'm going to work my way down to here like this, and I'm going to work down below the chin. Now I still got to do the right side of the hair here. So, and I still have to work a little bit on that, but it looks pretty good. But I still want to do much more to that. Now, you notice I just went and I touched that charcoal. Now I'm going to come down here. See, I'm going to switch this around because I touched it. Get a clean side of this Q-tip. You don't want any of that cross-contamination stuff. Now, don't press hard on the paper now. You're going to get some really nasty blotches, okay? It's easy for these earbuds to pick up lots and lots of graphite, more than you actually need. So it will lay it all down at one shot if you aren't careful. And did you know that you can actually draw with these cotton tips? You can go in here and you can make dark areas and light areas, just like you can draw with a blender. It's basically the same thing. The cotton tip is a blender. Okay, well, there's not a lot more I can say about this. I've pretty much said everything. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, but I'm going to finish this off camera because it's just going to bore you to death, I'm pretty sure. And again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and continue to support these tutorials and the pencil pen reviews and so forth. I'll keep the channel going for you guys. You help keep the lights on. Thank you very much. If you like this little demonstration, please give me a thumbs up. There's a subscribe button right there. Leave comments below, and I'll see you at the next video. Thank you.